out of NASA because it was a closed shop, and we are opening up doors more widely and saying we want one alliance in Kenya and we want as many like-minded parties to join. So we believe that that formation is going to have as many parties as possible so that we can go into the next election united and we form what we call a government of real national unity where everybody feels that they belong and that they are part of this nation. So that is basically what we are going to do today. We'll be meeting, and I think we'll have as many members. We also, I can tell you, have members that will join us from Jubilee Party. I'm aware of a number of them that will come. I'm also aware of members of other smaller parties that will be joining us, because there are smaller parties in our regions, the parties like NAC, Muungano, and others, and CCU, and all those parties are basically already working with us. And so as we form the coalition, we will figure out exactly how to craft it so that we don't make the mistakes that we may have made when we crafted the NASA agreement.
Okay, Gakuya, I mean, there seems One Kenya Alliance is opening the door to bring on board other parties, sort of putting into the contention this particular phrase, unite or perish, when you're facing Deputy President William Ruto in the 2022 general election. In the DP's camp, aren't you worried about these coalitions, knowing very well the numbers that might come with these principles, the more the merrier, as they say? Aren't you worried?
Hello, Jess. First and foremost, I can tell you that, in fact, there is nothing to worry. All these parties can unite together. The One Kenya faction, the Raila Jubilee faction, can unite against one UDA and still beaten. And the formula is simple. Today, you cannot lie with these kingmakers because it has proved that actually even kingmakers sometimes their ground is winning out. And I can tell you, the new structures we have structures where we have the kings makers in the county levels. And those are the people you need to at least grapple with. Because surely you have a cluster of governors, a cluster of women rep at the county level, a cluster of senators in the county level. You only require within the 47 counties to find your network within, see what you can be able to connect yourself directly to this political wing, and you can equally make it without necessarily doing managers or coalitions with these kingmakers, these every other day kingmakers. Yes, this country should rise above those kingmakers and should come with other methodologies, other strategies, other mechanisms to win an election without necessarily relying with pro-somebody or pro-somebody that is the one who is carrying the whole community, and the whole community cannot be delivered without so-and-so. We must come about, we totally rise above these roots and engage new other mechanism to win an election, not necessarily an election that must be brought to the table or bring a win to the table by the mechanism of those kingmakers. I am telling you, currently, we have won various number of seats. We won at the coast, Musambweni. We were not using any kingmaker there. We were using our governor there, and we won it. And we have all won in Central Region many positions without having a kingmaker. And therefore, it is doable without these kingmakers. And I can tell you, at least now, the grip we are in the Mount Kenya region, which kingmaker is driving the Mount Kenyans? Which kingmaker can you tell me? Is it in the presidential contestant which is doing this? In this particular case, I'm telling you, the ground is changing and the public is also changing because they are rising above many handles, and I can tell you Kenyans can change this country without necessarily being led by kingmakers.
But what's the strategy in the UDA camp? I think that's the question I'm trying to look at. Because on one side, we have an issue of 50+1, perhaps, and that might be an issue in case there's a three-horse race. So what's the strategy?
Roger, I can tell you, it is not written on the, it is nowhere casted on a stone that there has to be a coalition between One Kenya and the other team. One thing I can tell you, there is a big mountain here, and this is like the house of Babel coming down, because already NASA is down. And therefore, these guys are just telling us to rebuild another vessel to take them to another Canaan. I can tell you for sure, unless these guys go to what extreme sacrifice, there is no single element of bringing them together. Because one, you cannot tell me that, in fact, Kalonzo will now say, he's in the public saying, Raila, come, be my deputy this time round, and I be your boss. I did what, and during the last time that actually the president was in a tour of the Ukambani, yeah. Kalonzo was very bitter. At some point, he was in public saying, this gentleman just get crushed. In this particular case, it tells you there is a very bad blood here, and actually the barrier is too big. And let me tell you, Roger, okay. Whether they will unite in a miracle or not, the public, I am sure, the route we are approaching, we are not going to change it. We are going to move on with the House of a Nation route, which I am sure at the end of the day will give us the meaningful number to beat any other outfit.
Okay, it seems you're equally raising your stakes, but perhaps a divided opposition would best suit UDA at this particular point in time. We add your voice to this, and even as you do, I mean, he's raised a critical question. It's just a different outfit. What's new with One Kenya Alliance? We saw the likes of certain individuals in One Kenya form Pentagon, later on moved to CORD, and then NASA. And now we well know of what befell NASA. It's all to do with One Kenya Alliance. What new things are they offering Kenyans? What's the wild card? What's the silver bullet here?
Hello, Rogers?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Continue.
Sorry, Rogers, you had gone off, sorry. Let me, and I'm sorry I couldn't hear your question, I think technological issues. But let me say that I've listened to my UDA colleague, and he's shocked me when he says that, UDA can use any means necessary to win an election, and it doesn't matter at what cost. And I think it's important to note that, we are not just coming together for the purpose of winning an election. We are coming up together for the purpose of improving the lives of the citizens of this nation. And that is our paramount interest, because, I mean, it doesn't really matter who's president if everybody is happy. And so that issue of all the time talking about the presidential candidate of OKA, I think the idea is to find out who it is so that they can throw mud at him. And I know that is the kind of politics that UDA would play, propaganda and smear the names of the leaders. So at the end of the day, what we are going to do is we are trying to get together, come up with ideas, come up with a blueprint, economic blueprint, come up with ways by which we can improve this country. And once we've done that, then we can also make a decision on who becomes the captain of the ship going forward. So I think for us now, the presidential candidate is not the most important issue. The most important issue is what is it we have to offer Kenyans, and that's why we are meeting to put together that into perspective.
Okay, well noted, Bui. But what's the counter narrative? And my question earlier on was, at times you've been criticized. It's just a change in outfit. What ideologies do these principles stand for? Because we've seen Pentagon, CORD, and NASA unsuccessfully vie for the presidency. So what silver bullet does One Kenya Alliance have that the previous coalitions might have not had, as they enter the 2022?
Okay, I think the most important thing to note is that we want to unite Kenyans. And we want as many Kenyans to feel that they belong to this coalition than before, because previously, the word NASA had already gone into the minds of people. And there are places, and let me give you a personal story, Rogers. I was a victim of political violence. Just after the last election, I was shot, my leg was broken. Now, if I go to some parts of this country and mention that my leg was broken during the elections, you find people laughing. And you go to another part of this country and you mention that I was injured during the NASA clashes, and the people sympathize. So you realize there's a really big disconnect between citizens of this country from one place to another. And that's why we had to get rid of NASA so that we can now form a fresh coalition. The idea being to bring as many Kenyans together as possible. That's really our interest, to bring in as many communities, to bring in as many leaders, to bring in as many political parties, so that we can combine and speak with one voice. And that's what we are talking about, a One Kenya. So the idea, the difference between OKA and NASA is that OKA is open. NASA was a closed shop, a house of 5 families only. Those are the 5 political parties. Now we want to open up to have all the other political parties that were not represented to have to a space at the table so that we can be able to move Kenya together, all of us involved.
Gakuya, as you heard your voice, I know Jubilee Reloaded had a meeting recently. They plan an onslaught in the central Kenya region, perhaps to counter the hustler narrative, as you've mentioned, highlighting the key successes of the Jubilee government administration. So what say you about this counter narrative? Because many argue that the DP had a head start, uncompetitive approach towards central Kenya, but now they seem to be getting their act right. Is this a cause of worry, perhaps?
Roger, I can tell you for sure. The Jubilee Party has been in power for 2 consecutive terms. Nobody can tell us that actually you are now starting to popularize it. It's already in power. How do you popularize a party that is in power? The party in power have what we call self-explanatory to the public, because its blueprint is well known. There's nothing new you are going to tell somebody. If you have not been able to, if you have not managed to sweeten the areas of gray areas of a farmer, who is a tea farmer, who is a coffee farmer, even though you introduce cherry fad is nowhere seen. It's only seen in papers, but nowhere in action. Then we have issues to do with our milk. You have no idea to come to tell us, because actually what we are missing is what our elements of earning our simple economic support from our area of jurisdiction.
Okay. That
is what we are missing. Don't tell us anything. Those other things are gossiping. Because I am telling you where the line of division lines is, where that in fact today we are in a situation where this country, those who are SME, or those who are young or small farmers, peasant one, they are forgotten. And I can tell you, who else can be able to reason, hear, or take action against their poverty, if not the government? The government has lost that particular route to make sure that actually they are in tandem with the rest of the Kenyans down there. And that particular gap is too big. Whether you would like us to understand anything, we have nothing in our pocket. We can't reason anything until our pockets have something. That is the drama where this handout my good friend is talking about, the Jubilee is trying to bring now. Where are this money? You bring handouts. Those are, I call them tasks. There is no way that you can be able to bury an elephant with the tasks. You must remove them. So bring the tasks back to the people. We will swallow them, but you must face the task.
So it's all to do with the economy in one way or the other.
I can tell you the biggest problem and especially about Kenya, is people are poorer 10 times than Kibaki left them.
Okay.
Yes.
So each region definitely has its areas of concerns that they want met, but be it as it may, Kenyans are feeling the effects of increased taxation, with the price of basic commodities going up, and you well know the fingers will be pointed at the government of the day. Perhaps that's why politicians are running away from that tag of incumbency. Allow us to take a short break on that particular note. When we come back, I'll still have the gentleman with me in studio. I will take a look at what ODM leader Raila Odinga had to say in terms of his strategy going forward. His planned nationwide meeting starting this week on what he terms will be the voice of change, even as he was dismissing his critics, rather, those who are mentioning that he's too old, he should retire from politics. Of course, it's getting heated in the political space. We'll be back with this and much more. Stay with us.